Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Grohlvana and welcome to my three-part series on all the powers you can gain from the 7 black books in the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim. So there are 7 black books in this new DLC that you can find, and each one is a dungeon basically, and when you get to the end of the dungeon, your reward is to be able to pick one of 3 options that can affect your character. It's kind of like Fallout 3 perks. I know this game has perks, but they're more related to your skills. In Fallout 3, you can do perks that affect like basically your character and what he can do and all different sorts of stuff. It's kind of like that, and you'll see later on in the video when I give you examples of those. So I'm going to be showing every single power, and first right here I just want to show you that you cannot use these black books in Skyrim. As you can see, I'm in Skyrim right now, and I'm going to try and activate a black book, but it will not work because you have to be in Solstheim. When you activate it, it says something to the tune of a vision of Solstheim passes through your eyes or something, which is a big hint that you need to be in Solstheim to use these books. But these books effects will affect you in Skyrim. It'll affect you wherever you are. Just you have to be able to activate them in Solstheim. So here I'm going to go to Solstheim. Here's where the icon is on your minimap to travel there. You don't need to go there by boat or whatever. And here we are. We're in Solstheim, the area of the Dragonborn DLC. As you can see here on the overmap, we're in Solstheim. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first black book, which is going to be called Epistolary Acumen, and it's going to contain our first 3 powers. And like I said, you have to complete a dungeon to get to the powers, but once you do that, every time you read the book, you will appear right in front of the powers again, so you can change them as you wish on the fly, so you don't have to worry about completing the dungeons again. So here we are in Apocrypha, which is Hermaeus Mora's realm, which deals heavily with the Dragonborn DLC. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but we are in the land of Apocrypha, which is like book and knowledge and information themed. And this little thing I just activated basically activates stuff in the environment. As you can see here, it activates the walkway to our first, I'm going to call them Book of Powers. I guess these are the black books. And this guy spawned, I don't know why, but he's kind of tough, so I fast forwarded through the fight because he took quite a while to beat. These lurkers are pretty tough. So here we are in front of our first 3 powers here that we can choose. This book affects our shouts, and 3 shouts specifically: Fire Breath, Unrelenting Force, and I believe the last one is like Frost Breath, or yeah, it should be Frost Breath. So I'm going to show you here the one that I chose, and it was Dragonborn Force, which activates, or rather affects your Unrelenting Force shout, which is the basic Fustro dodge you probably know because it became like a meme. And basically what this one does is it affects in that when you use it, it's more powerful and it can disintegrate enemies. And I use this a lot, and it will actually disintegrate enemies quite often, which is like an insta-kill, and it's also epic as shit to see. The second one is going to be Dragonborn Flame, which is when your Fire Breath shout kills an enemy, a fireworm emerges from their corpse to fight for you for 60 seconds. And the last one's going to be Dragonborn Frost, which your Frost Breath shout encases foes in ice. I don't usually use those 2 shouts, Frost Breath and Fire Breath, so I did not pick those, but those effects sound cool, so if you want to use those, go ahead and use those. Those are, all 3 of these are pretty awesome, but I just like Unrelenting Force because you can knock people over the edge, which is an insta-kill. So we're going to go ahead and activate the book again to exit this first black book and move on to the second book. So here we are back in Solstheim. We're going to go ahead and activate our second book, which is going to be Filament and Filigree, which is going to lead us to our second dungeon where we can get our second set of 3 powers that we can choose from. And like I said, we already completed the dungeon, at least I did, so I don't have to go through the dungeon, and we will appear right in front of this book. So we're going to have 3 new powers: Secret of Strength, Secret of Arcana, and Secret of Protection. And what these 3 do is Secret of Strength lets you use power attacks unlimited amount of times for 30 seconds. As you can see here, I chose that one because I use daggers, and obviously that would be very helpful. Secret of Arcana lets you use magic for 30 seconds without using magicka, so your magicka won't drain for 30 seconds, which is obviously amazing if you use magic. I don't. And Secret of Protection is going to let you basically take half damage for 30 seconds, which is also really, really good. I have a lot of health though, so that wouldn't really be that important to me, which is why I chose Secret of Strength. So we're going to go ahead and read our book here to go back into Solstheim and continue on with our third book. Also, you do not have to read these books to go back. You can also just activate the book that these powers are floating above, and it'll do the same thing. But we're going to go ahead and read our last book for this part, which is going to be the Hidden Twilight, which will lead us to our final area of 3 different powers that we can choose one out of. for this part. There's going to be 2 more parts to this series, which will the second part will have the next 3 books, and the last part's going to have the last book, which will have the best reward for these. So these 3 powers are going to go ahead and be Mora's Agony, which is to summon a field of writhing tentacles that poisons foes. Mora's Grasp, which is freezes the target between Oblivion and Tamriel for 30 seconds, making them immune to all damage. And Mora's Boon, which is to fully restore your health, magicka, and stamina. Now, I chose Mora's Agony simply because Mora's Boon, I mean, I have potions for that, and as far as Mora's Grasp, that really doesn't do anything for me. It basically makes them ethereal, which wouldn't really serve a purpose as far as I can see. So here I'm going to show off Mora's Agony. As you can see, you like vomit a pool of tentacles. This really honestly doesn't do much to anybody as much as I've used it. The poison effect doesn't seem to help all that much. So these 3 are probably going to be like basically the useless. I mean, I guess the one where it completely heals you would be good in certain situations, but like I said, I have like ultimate potions that already do that. So that's really going to do it for this part, part 1 in the 7 Black Book series. Please stay tuned for part 2 and part 3. In part 2, I'm going to continue with the other 3 books, like I said. And in part 3, I'm going to go over the last and final book, which you basically get for completing the DLC, and the reward is quite substantial. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm Grohlvana, and I hope you have a great day.